are now listening to Season 3 of the VMX Show. Hello, and welcome to the VMX Show, Season 3, Episode 7. Starting off with a nice little rockin' tune that was Defend Iacon, or perhaps it was Invasion of Iacon, from Transformers War for Cybertron. A great action game for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, which I actually finished yesterday and enjoyed greatly. When you're playing as the Decepticons, it's Invasion of Iacon, and when you're playing as the Autobots, it's Defender of Iacon, so it's both of those things. So we got a lot of show. We have a guest coming by. What's his name? Chris Khallet 222 from YouTube came by earlier in the week, and we did an interview. It's a little bit of a longer interview, so I got to get through this shit really fast. So we have enough time to do the show part of the show. So let's get to your questions and comments right away. Okay, Last Exile Zero asked me, do you have any interest in the 3DS? I've been talking about it, so, yeah, I've already answered that. Please try when you ask a question, make sure it's not something that I've talked about a million times. Chubby Luigi says, I just wanted to ask you if you knew about MTV bringing back Beavis and Butthead this summer with brand new episodes. The episodes will feature the duo looking at music videos, UFC matches, Jersey Shore clips, and amateur YouTube videos. Yeah, I'm well familiar with that. That actually is old news, and I've been actually wondering when they're actually coming back, but they are coming back. That was in my childhood. I was into Beavis and Butthead, as were many people my age, so that's kind of a big deal. Kind of wondering, if it's still going to be funny, but, Mike Judge sort of, he left Beavis and Butthead, he canceled that show and did King of the Hill, and 14 years later, King of the Hill got canceled. That was a very successful show, but it did end, and now it looks like he's going back to his roots. So, King of the Hill, of course, It was a very funny show, one of my favorite shows, but it was also a much more mature humor, so we'll see him trying to go back to that immature humor, see how it works out. So let's see what we got here. Peyote says, great show yet again. I had fun being on. And anyone listening in, I'm sorry that my voice sounds like shit in sound form. I wasn't feeling very well that day. You can feel free to skip that part. I won't mind. Well, it's not like you'd know. Amaranthus616 says, I've heard of Spear of Destiny, but I haven't played it. I have played Wolfenstein 2 a little bit, though. It was ages ago and I don't remember much. Of course, he's probably talking about the top-down game. I think I'll pick up Spear of Destiny. The first Wolfenstein was the third one, the first 3D Wolfenstein. Was the only one I really played properly. Corporation was a blast, though, a bit slow, but I found it fun. Okay. Gears44 said, have you ever did a commentary? Keep in mind, guys, when I read your comments, I just want to point this out. When I read your comments, I'm going to read them exactly as you type them, so if you have like absolutely terrible grammar, that's going to come through in the reading. So just a warning, try and structure your sentences a little better. Have you ever did a commentary on a request and liked it so much that you played it through to the end? I must have answered this question about 1 billion times, but you're probably a new listener, so yeah, the answer is yes. As to which ones, I don't know. But it's happened plenty of times when I have the chance to play the games. Cobra DVS says, hey NecroVMX, great show. My question is, you obviously play retro games in your videos, so do you collect them as well? And also, do you play them often when you're not doing a video? Thanks. Interesting questions. I don't collect retro games. I mean, I do collect the GameCube games, but I don't know if you'd call that retro as of yet. Do I play retro games a lot when I'm not doing a video? See, I mostly play newer games, actually, because I have so many new games that I've bought and haven't finished, and I've been trying to get through them all. Just, looking at the past week, as I mentioned, I just finished Transformers War for Cybertron. I've been playing Mega Man 10. Before that, I was playing Batman Arkham Asylum. Before that, I was playing Metroid Prime Corruption. If I find like a really great older game that I haven't played, I'll certainly play through it. But I'm trying not to go back and play like the same games that I've played over and over again. Of course, I do play like remakes and such. I've been playing Dragon Quest VI on the DS. Most of the games that I do play are newer games. Even though they're newer, they tend to be legacy games or retro-style games. So there is that. Joe X20 says, what do you think about Sweden? I don't. Why are you asking me that? That's so weird. Let's see. I'm going to skip past all the anime stuff here. People trying to get in on that whole action, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't even realize this, but the argument kind of went on between some of my viewers or listeners or whatever after I had disavowed myself of the whole anime discussion. But I do want to read just one little passage from Akuma Cornflakes, who he says, I really don't get what's so interesting about knowing what anime a non-anime fan has seen. It's like asking for a vegetarian's opinion on various cuts of beef. You couldn't have said it better. Thanks for that comment, because that really hit the nail on the head. So I'm just skipping over all the anime questions. I told you guys I didn't want to talk about that, so I don't know. Keep in mind, I don't have to read your comments. It's my choice, so we're skipping over that. SJS Ammett1 says, I have only played Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy XII, and I can honestly say that 12 is the better game. We're talking, of course, about the person who... I just read the comment out last week. They think that Final Fantasy VII was a masterpiece to be comparable to the Mona Lisa, which is a bit ridiculous. And he says, someday I'm going to play them all, hopefully, but the earlier ones are too much expensive. Well, the earlier ones are also available as remakes. I mean, you can get Final Fantasy 1 and 2 on the PSP, but if you really want to save money, get the Game Boy Advance version, which is one game, and then 3, is on the DS. 4, 5, and 6 are on the Game Boy Advance. Those ones tend to be kind of expensive, but, there are other versions. There are PlayStation. It's easy to get. Oh, guys, when you try and post, I talked about this last week, but when you post a question, only post it once, because your second post winds up getting marked as spam. I'm going to remove that there. Okay, Monk237 says, great show, Negro. Fuck anime. Since Final Fantasy is always a good topic, did you ever play Final Fantasy Mystic Quest for the Super NES, and what is your opinion on it had you played it? He has more questions, but let me answer that first. I have played Mystic Quest. I felt that it failed at what it was supposed to do. It wasn't a terrible game. It really wasn't, but what it was supposed to do was it was supposed to be an RPG for people who don't like RPGs, and it was supposed to be kind of easier to play. And but the thing is, it missed the point. You didn't have any exploration, which is the cornerstone of RPGs. So I felt that it was a failed experiment. And he says, are you looking forward to the new Mortal Kombat? It looks like they're bringing back the series to the original 3 Mortal Kombats. They sort of are and they sort of aren't. I am looking forward to it. As far as the EA thing goes, a lot of times in this day and age, the legal thing to do is very immoral. I will be talking about EA and that whole situation a little bit more in the news section of the story. Mr. Lover of Ganja says, if you could make a non-Guitar Hero game about any band, which band would it be and what genre of game? Well, I wouldn't. If you're going to, they used to do this in the past. There was the Journey Escape game on Atari 2600. There was the Aerosmith game, which I think was called Revolution X, which was in arcades and some home consoles. Stupid ideas, rhythm games are really the only genre of games that I would think would be appropriate to make a game about a band. So, anything other than that is, I think, like, what are you going to do? You're going to do like a David Bowie game and have it, like a Ziggy Stardust and the Martians. I mean, don't do that. Another idiot with the anime. We're going to skip past that. WW12345678 known QQA says, hey, VMX. Great show. Do you like the Chucky and Nightmare on Elm Street movies? They're great. Yeah, I do. I like horror films. I like Nightmare on Elm Street. I do like Child's Play. I like Nightmare on Elm Street a lot more than the Child's Play videos. Listen to me. Movies, but they're both good series. They kind of redeemed Nightmare on Elm Street with the remake that came out last year because the series had gotten kind of silly. And I could say the same thing for Child's Play when they started doing like Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky. It was getting really ridiculous. It'd be kind of interesting to see that get rebooted. And he has a music request, Mario 64. I guess you want a song from Mario 64? Man, I don't know if I'm going to have enough time. I'll try and do it after the interview. I'll play a Mario 64 song if I can, a short one. So I'll try. Dave Cornfan says, thanks for answering my comment. Sorry for misinterpreting what you said about the Zelda 25th anniversary. I just thought you meant a game. Well, I did specifically say that we don't know what it is. Lol. People are doing exactly what you said not to do with the whole anime thing. Yeah. Alright, I'm not going to read the rest of the anime stuff. He asked me if I'm a fan of the Half-Life series. I am not. I've played the first one. Thought it was boring. Armageddon Time says, hey Necro, love the Skyrim talk with Peyote. Can't wait for that to come out later this year. The easy solution to this anime... Oh god, here we go. Let's get to his question. Have you ever made it to the end of a game, said fuck it, and have yet to beat it? Yeah, Xenogears. I hate that fucking game. I got it, I thought it was going to be awesome, and I started playing it, and the first thing in Xenogears that you see is this really amazing cutscene done, and I guess you'd call it an anime style, but it's sort of a science fiction, sort of like a Star Trek anime thing, and it made it seem like the game was going to be really awesome, and then it was just, okay, now you're in the typical like pseudo-medieval Japanese with a little bit of technology thing. It was sort of like Chrono Trigger. I thought one problem with the game was that there's just way too many battles. You could walk across a room, like a small room, and you'd fight like 5 battles, and I don't mind a lot of battles. Like I grind in RPGs all the time, but it just felt like it took forever to get anywhere, and the battles were paradoxically very easy at the same time that they were very long. It took forever to beat anybody, but it wasn't a challenge. The story just made no sense. I don't know if it was a translation issue or if it was just a shitty story, but it was just so convoluted and ridiculous. And I don't understand the fans of the game. They just like, oh, Xenogears taught me how to love. Like, no, it didn't. Shut up. It wasn't that good. I got to the second disc, and that's when I just gave it up because I put the second disc in, and it was at that point I'd already had a strong dislike for the game, but I was determined to beat it because I had already invested like 40 hours in it. And the first thing is this is like long cutscene that lasts for hours. Like it asks you to save at 2 points during the cutscene, and then there's no more overworld. Like you run out of overworld to explore like halfway through the first disc, and then you have to go like underground and in space and shit, all in the sky, and then it's like it narrates to you what happens. It's like Faye and the party found a dungeon, and then you're in the dungeon. You can't leave, so you just have to go through the dungeon. So you go through it, you beat the boss, and then it's like a little more story, another hour of cutscene, and then it's like Faye and the party found another dungeon, and they went through it, and they found a boss, so here it is, and then you fight a boss, and then at that point I was like, you know what, fuck this game. New York Mets fan 1996 says, have you played the Mortal Kombat 9 demo yet, and if so, did you like it? No, I have no ability to do that. I have no ability to play demos because I don't have Xbox Live, and people ask me this stuff all the time, and I'm going to say it again. The situation that I'm in with the Xbox Live is I have the Xbox 360 Elite model, which does not have Wi-Fi. And in my house, that's what we use. We use Wi-Fi. The modem is clear on the other side of the house, nowhere near the Xbox or a television. I have no way to hook it up to the internet. I don't mind that so much, although I do wish I could, so that I could access the Xbox Live Arcade store and things like that. I have no desire to play online. But I have no way of playing the Mortal Kombat 9 demo. I saw the video that my friend Vidya Games did on YouTube about it. It looks good. DeHood Rider asks if I played Dragon Age and if I will play Dragon Age 2. I own the Dragon Age Ultimate Edition for Xbox 360. Haven't gotten to it yet. It's on my list to play. Haven't played it yet. Will I play 2? If I like the first one. So we'll see. Xboxitude, that's an interesting name, says, love the show, Necro. I only started listening since the beginning of Season 3, so I'm looking forward to hearing the classics. I would like to be on the show because I think it rocks. I'll add you on Skype. Yeah, just add me on Skype, anybody. It's a first-come, first-serve thing, so whoever, gets the first, interview, that'll be the next person on the show. I had a lot of questions about this. I should probably go into it a little bit. When can you do it? In the evening. It's Eastern time, because I'm on the East Coast, and it has to be in the evening, and that doesn't mean at like 5 or 6. It means, later than that. Catch me around 7 or 8 or 9, or, even later if you're around. I'm up late most nights. That's the best time to do it. That's the time when I'm not going to be interrupted, when I'm not busy, when I'm already done with the videos for the day, and I've done like everything else that I need to do. So that's when you want to catch me. I've gotten some people that say, okay, we'll do the interview at this time. And I'm like, no, you don't tell me what time. It don't work like that. So that's it for questions and comments. Of course, leave your questions and comments on this video, or send me an email, send me a private message, leave me a comment on the channel, however you want to get a question or comment to me. Like I said, I got a long-ass interview coming up and a lot of news and stuff to talk about. So let's get to the news right now. So let's start with some more news from BioWare, the makers of Dragon Age and Dragon Age 2. Apparently, and this is more naughtiness on their part, one of their employees has been caught boosting scores on Metacritic for the game BioWare is the name of the company, for the game Dragon Age 2. Basically, a user by the name of Gato Fiasco sort of was the whistleblower on this. He dug up all the dirt, and he found that there was a review of Dragon Age 2 that sounded like a press release, just crowing about the game, and it didn't sound like it was an actual opinion of a gamer, but it sounded like it was written by somebody who worked on the game. So he looked into it. He found that the user who posted it only had 3 reviews posted, and they were for the 3 different versions of Dragon Age 2. Did a little digging, find out the guy works for BioWare. So, I personally don't understand why they did this. I mean, that's amazing. Dragon Age 2, it's already a game that's getting great reviews. It's already a big success. Why do they feel the need to boost the Metacritic score a little bit? What's more ridiculous is they contacted EA for a comment. This is the response that EA had to this. They said, and they're ridiculous. EA are really losing their minds. They say, of course the people who make the game vote for their own game. That's how it works in the Oscars. That's how it works in the Grammys. And why I'm betting that Barack Obama voted for himself in the last election. Okay. First off, I want to tell you guys something. It's not voting for yourself to win an award. It's not voting for yourself to win an election. It's posting a review. Now, when people read a review, they're looking for someone's opinion on the game. Now, obviously, if you made the game, your opinions on it are going to be kind of biased, but you're basically posting a press release to boost a score on an aggregate site so that people think the game is better than it is. When you already have a great game, you shouldn't need to do that. There's a reason that other companies don't really do this, because you get caught and you get embarrassed, and the humiliation is even greater when you have a stupid response like that. Don't know what the hell EA was thinking, don't know what the hell BioWare was thinking, but there you have it. I have some details on the launch party event for the Nintendo 3DS. I don't have the actual date. I assume it's on launch day. So launch day, New York City at Best Buy on 9 o'clock in the evening, that is. Oh, it's the night before. Okay, it's the night before launch, 9 o'clock in the evening. And they're going to have a big launch party there. People will be able to try out the 3DS system before buying it. They're going to throw 3D glasses in the air, which is to, I guess, at midnight, so to celebrate that they won't need 3D glasses to play the 3DS. Reggie Fils-Aimé will be there. He'll be greeting people, and I love this. He's gonna have like a hydraulic raised stage and countdown clock. They're gonna do the whole epic thing like they did at E3 with the 3DS, I guess. The launch night sales are going to run until 2 a.m. and the first 300 people to buy the 3DS there will get a carrying case. So that's pretty interesting. Speaking of the 3DS, it is officially the most pre-ordered console ever, according to Amazon.uk. Of course, that's just the UK version of Amazon, but it's topped all other pre-order sales of any console that has come before, and that includes handhelds, it includes home consoles. It's 20% more than the PlayStation 3, 56% more than the Wii, and 255% more than the DSi. Wow. So that's a popular little system there. Here's a news story that I wanted to talk about this anyway, but I also wanted to clear up misconceptions that are running around about this news story. Warner Brothers has signed a deal to use the Unreal 3 engine exclusively. Now, when I first read that headline and when I first heard about this, I thought the same thing that a lot of people thought, that means that Warner Brothers games are going to be the only ones able to use the very powerful and versatile Unreal 3 engine. If you're not familiar, Unreal, of course, being a first-person shooter, but the engine itself having a wide variety of applications beyond first-person shooters. Just to give an example, Batman Arkham City and Mortal Kombat both use the Unreal 3 engine. So what's going on with that? It's not that they're the only ones who are going to be able to use the Unreal 3 engine. It's that they are going to use it exclusively, meaning that all projects, all video games created by Warner Brothers Games are going to use the Unreal 3 engine, and this is going to be in effect until 2014. So it's that they're using it exclusively, not that they're the only ones who are able to use it. So I wanted to clear a little bit of that up, spread the word on that, in case anybody's worried about that. Here's some good news. There's a new River City Ransom game on the way. Unknown what it's going to be like, or what systems it's going to be on, but this is what they're saying. Japanese release on an undisclosed console this summer. and it will be a PC game sometime next year. But River City Ransom was, of course, the beat-em-up for the NES that mixed in some RPG elements, adventure elements, and it was a pretty great game. If you want to play the original River City Ransom, it is on the Wii's Virtual Console and has been there for a while, so definitely check that out, or, whip out your emulator or whatever, or maybe you have the old cartridge. River City Ransom's a great game. Don't know, is this a sequel? Is it a remake? Is it a reboot? What's going on with that? We don't know. Hope it's going to be good, though. Hope it's going to be good. Jack Thompson has reared his ugly head again, and this time he kind of has a point, but he's still being a dick about it. Basically, he's all up in arms about the Columbine-styled school shooter mod for Source Engine. In other words, it's a player-made mod for Half-Life 2, which lets you shoot up a bunch of students in a virtual school. It's called School Shooter North American Tour 2012. I didn't talk about this previously because I didn't think it was really notable, but my friend Joey found out about this, and he was all up in arms about it, and he showed me an interview with the creator of the mod, who he described as being soulless. And after reading the interview, I have to agree, the guy has just no concept of anything. And he created something that really has no redeeming value, and I don't know anybody that's going to get this. I'd worry about them. But he should have known that Jack Thompson was going to come out of the hole that he lives in, and now he's threatening to sue, if you can believe it or not. I don't know what Jack Thompson is thinking, but here's the letter that he sent to, let's see, who did he send this letter to? Gabe Newell. He's a employee at Valve. Of course, Valve has nothing to do with this. This is a user-created mod. Of course, Jack Thompson seems to think that Valve supports the mod. He really has no idea how these things work, but this is the letter that he sent to Gabe Newell. Dear Mr. Newell, you either know or should know that the more moral midgets who run Checkerboard Studios have created a mod for your company's Half-Life, which they call School Shooter North American Tour 2012. This mod is a full-blown Columbine massacre simulator which cannot function without your company's assistance and acquiescence. What he means is that you have to have Half-Life installed on your computer, Half-Life 2 installed on your computer for it to run. Attached herewith is a letter from the FHE ASAP, the Florida Higher Education Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention, that expresses their mind and other concerns about this Columbine Massacre mod. As you either know or should know, your Half-Life murder simulator was obsessively played and thus became a training aid for a teenage Robert Steinhauser, who authored at Erfurt, Germany, the worst school shooter massacre in European history, and Sung-Hee Cho, who authored at Virginia Tech University the worst school shooting massacre in world history. As to that letter, the sources of this information are the Washington Post and the New York Times. Now, some sociopaths have made reprises of Erfurt and Virginia Tech far more likely. Given the fact that your company has the technological ability to stop the operation of School Shooter, you must undertake steps immediately to do so. Speaking for myself alone, for now, you have until 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Friday, March 18th, 2011, to shut down this public safety hazard. I predicted years ago this school massacre game would arrive. I hate being right all the time. Govern yourself accordingly. Regards, Jack Thompson. Wow. Okay, my response to this idiot is, first off, Valve really can't do anything about it. They can't. And as a lawyer, he should know that. I mean, I guess I should say former lawyer because he has been disbarred. But as a lawyer, he should know the law, and they have no control over it. If they let people make mods, they can't sit there and say, you can't make a mod about this, you can't make a mod about that. The mods are downloaded separately, not from Valve, and all it requires is that you have Half-Life 2. So if you have Half-Life 2, you can get these mods. And Valve really can't stop you from getting them. What Jack Thompson should also realize is that what might have been a flash-in-the-pan, bit of juvenilia is now world news, thanks to him. He gives the guy a deadline. I don't know exactly. He says to shut it down, which they don't have the ability to do. I don't know what exact. I guess he's threatening to sue them, which sue on the behalf of who, I don't know. And who would they pay money to? I really don't understand Jack Thompson's brain. He has an abnormal brain. If it was put into a Frankenstein monster, that Frankenstein monster would be perhaps the worst ever because of his abnormal brain. He seems to think that the only reason that Steinhauser and Sung Hee Cho shot people was because they played Half-Life 2, which is, of course, retarded. They did it because they were insane. There are millions of people who've played first-person shooters such as Half-Life 2, in which, by the way, you call it a murder simulator, but you don't actually shoot people in that game. You shoot monsters, so I don't know where he gets off on that. Of course, he hasn't played it. He has no idea how these things work. He's just looking for attention at this point. He hasn't been in the news for a while. So we're just going to move on. I just thought that was amusing. Here's some bad news for people looking forward to Gun Loco. It was a third-person shooter made by Square Enix for the Xbox 360. Have to tell you, it is canceled for unknown reasons. There was a post on Square Enix's Japanese site which announced it. After translating it, it was found that there was no reason given for the cancellation. We don't know why. Perhaps we'll find out later on about why Gun Loco was canceled, but I can tell you if you were looking forward to Gun Loco, you might want to look elsewhere. So there we go. Ubisoft may have screwed up, or maybe not. It seems to be that they have leaked the price of the NGP. Of course, NGP is the code name for the Sony PlayStation Portable 2, or whatever it's going to be called. And they have said that it might be $350. But there might be a cheaper version that would come out for $250. Now, of course, I kind of echo what Gabe and Tycho said on Penny Arcade. If it was going to be $250, they'd be announcing that like crazy, because that's what the 3DS costs. But we'll see what happens. It's, of course, not confirmed, but they have said that $350 does seem like the standard price, and it seems pretty reasonable for what you're getting with the NGP. Told you I'd have more news about EA. If you remember, EA banned a player from playing Dragon Age 2, a single-player game, for making a post on their forums. They later restored the guy and claimed that it was a glitch. He was supposed to only be temporarily banned from the forums, not from being able to play a single-player game that he shelled out $60 for. Well, I don't know if the glitch has repeated itself or if they were liars, but it has happened again. A user by the name of Tez19 received an email from EA saying that due to the severity and number of violations of our terms of service committed with the persons associated with his email address, his account was permanently terminated, meaning he can never play Dragon Age 2 on the PC again or any other EA games that require a online EA account to play, including all DLC for the game. And they have also, in the email, gone on to say the decision is final, no further correspondence regarding the account will be acknowledged, and they actually ask him not to contact them at all regarding this matter. So they're either really serious or their glitches are causing them to become assholes. But yeah, and what was caused this? Well, another post on EA's forum. What they've been taken down now, so I can't tell you what he posted, but I can't imagine that it would be so bad as to terminate his account to the point that he can't play a game that's a single-player game. Look, I'm all for kicking people off of multiplayer games for being assholes, but kicking people off of single-player games for being assholes is a bit ridiculous. Finally, we had the BAFTAs, the British Academy of Film and Television Arts Awards, which includes the British Academy Video Game Awards. So I'm going to be announcing the winners. This is like the Oscars of video games, so let's see what happened. First off, there's the Academy Fellowship, which is basically, I guess, like an achievement award given to Peter Molyneux. I hope I'm saying his name right. He is the creator of such games as Dungeon Keeper, Black and White, Populous, and business simulation games also. He did Theme Park. He also worked on the Fable series. He's done a lot of different games. He made Powermonger, he made High Octane, he made Milo and Kate. You know, that's one that's coming out. So he's kind of a big name. He is now in their fellowship. So here are the BAFTA awards for video games. Best Action Game of the Year went to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, beating out Battlefield Bad Company 2, Bioshock 2, Call of Duty Black Ops, God of War 3, and Halo Reach. I personally think that the fact that Bioshock 2 didn't win was something of a travesty. The award for Artistic Achievement went to God of War 3, beating out Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Call of Duty Black Ops, Heavy Rain, Limbo, and Mass Effect 2. No real comment there. I thought that Mass Effect 2 would have taken it, but there you have it. The award for Best Game went to Mass Effect 2, however, beating out Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, FIFA 11, Heavy Rain, Limbo, and Super Mario Galaxy 2. It sounds about right, I guess. Best Family Game went to Kinect Sports, beating out Dance Central, Kinect Adventures, Kinectimals, Lego Harry Potter Years 1 to 4, and Toy Story 3. Best Gameplay went to Super Mario Galaxy 2, beating out Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, God of War 3, Heavy Rain, Limbo, and Mass Effect 2. Best Handheld Game went to Cut the Rope, beating out God of War, Ghost of Sparta, Lego Harry Potter, Professor Layton and the Lost Future, Sonic Colors, and Super Scribblenauts. So that's an interesting one. I've never even heard of Cut the Rope. Best Multiplayer Game went to Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. It beat out Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Battlefield Bad Company 2, Call of Duty Black Ops, Halo Reach, and StarCraft 2. Best Original Music went to Heavy Rain, beating out Alan Wake, Fable 3, Bloodstone, Mass Effect 2, and Mario Galaxy 2. Best Social Network Game went to My Empire, beating out Bejeweled Blitz, Farmerama, FIFA Superstars Zoomamba, and Zuma Blitz. Best Sports Game went to F1 2010, beating out FIFA, Football Manager, Gran Turismo 5, International Cricket 2010. Wow. That's a very British award right there. And Pro Evolution Soccer 2011. Best Story went to Heavy Rain, beating out Alan Wake, Bioshock 2, Call of Duty Black Ops, Fallout New Vegas, and Mass Effect 2. Best Strategy Game went to Civilization 5, there's no surprise, beating out Fallout New Vegas, FIFA Manager 11, Napoleon Total War, Plants vs. Zombies, and StarCraft 2. Is Fallout New Vegas a strategy game? What are they thinking there? It's an RPG. Best Technical Innovation Award went to Heavy Rain, beating out Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Call of Duty Black Ops, Halo Reach, Kinectimals, and Super Mario Galaxy 2. Best Use of Audio went to Battlefield Bad Company 2, beating out Alan Wake, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Call of Duty Black Ops, DJ Hero 2, and Limbo. And the 120 Watch Award in association with Dare to Be Digital went to Twang, beating out Mush and Sculpty. I don't know what the hell they're talking about there. And the Game Award of 2010, not to be confused with Best Game, went to Call of Duty Black Ops, beating out Dance Central, FIFA 11, Halo Reach, Heavy Rain, Limbo, Mass Effect 2, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, Red Dead Redemption, and Super Mario Galaxy 2. Surprised I didn't see more Red Dead Redemption in the other awards. Kind of weird how that worked out. But that's the news. We're going to bring Chris Khallet 222 onto the show now for his interview. So let's do that. And I'm going to welcome Chris to the VMX show. How you doing, Chris?
Doing fine. How are you?
Oh, doing excellent. Your YouTube channel, I believe, is Chris Khallet 222, right?
Yep.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about the channel, because we're plugging it here.
All I do is just play video games, but I don't do like you. I don't add no commentary. It's just me naturally playing video games and getting killed.
Pure gameplay, then?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you go for like newer games or older games?
More like an older game, like the NES.
Like older games. Okay. And what brings you here to the show today?
Well, I was thinking about the video games that had fallen within the 20 years
Mm-hmm.
to where we are now.
Okay.
A lot of your listeners probably didn't know about that. You know, like the Jaguar and the
Yes.
Virtual Boy and all that stuff, and how the Sega Saturn didn't really build up to what it's supposed to be.
You know, and it's funny you mentioned the Saturn specifically. I do actually have a Saturn and about 22 or so games for it. It's a fine little system, but the thing is, I think Sega got lucky with the Genesis because they've never had any other successes.
Yeah, and the Dreamcast could have been their greatest luck, but they decided, scrap that. We're going software.
Well, they weren't making any money, and I think it was one of the better decisions they've made.
Yeah.
Because they had some headway, but then PlayStation 2 came out, and it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, but at least they did promise a Sonic game.
Yeah, well, two of them, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, Sonic Adventures.
Actually, there were three of them, because there was that Sonic Shuffle, but we don't talk about that. That sucked.
Yeah. Well, the second Dreamcast kind of had a good running, but it's got a cult following.
Yes, it certainly does.
So it becomes one of the greatest icons in video game history.
I'm just going to ask you to move the microphone away from your mouth a little bit.
How's that?
Much better.
Okay. Yeah, the Dreamcast, where it was built on, back in '98, I believe. There's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot.
That was, it was more advanced than Nintendo 64, and it was more advanced than PlayStation, and they had Sonic Adventure as being like the big killer app, so it certainly had some headway. But it was at an awkward time.
Yeah, well, it gave us what PlayStation 2 and Xbox was going to look like in the future.
Yeah, because it did have graphics. A lot of people don't realize this, but it did have graphics comparable to what you saw on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah. And where the Sega Saturn messed up was they kept promising Sonic games and stuff like that. It just didn't really promise all that well.
That is true, and also they made a very bad mistake of releasing the system itself 6 months earlier than they planned. So they just kind of ninja'd it onto the store shelves, and they weren't games ready. The games weren't ready. Yeah,
the only good game from Sega Saturn, if you really like gaming, would be like Nights into Dreams.
No, yeah, it's a good one. I think it's a good system for fighting games and for RPGs, which are my two favorite genres. But most of what you found there was available on the PlayStation.
Yeah, well, Sega kind of made it their thing to port most arcade games onto their home consoles.
Yes, that's true.
And if you notice the way you do it, it kind of loses something within the transfer.
Well, I thought the Dreamcast did a really good job of porting arcade games. The most obvious example off the top of my head would be Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which did show up much later on PlayStation 2 and Xbox, and now on Xbox Live Arcade. But the Xbox Live Arcade one is great because it has the retouched graphics and everything.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, the Dreamcast one was the one that was the closest to the arcade software.
Yeah, and Capcom vs. SNK.
Yeah, it was a great one, yeah.
Yeah.
And the sequel, which didn't come out here, but I managed to get my hands on the Dreamcast version of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of good fighting games and a lot of good sports games, racing games for the Dreamcast.
And what a lot of people don't realize is that if it wasn't for the Dreamcast, we wouldn't have the Xbox and the Xbox 360, because the Dreamcast ran on a Windows operating system, which was Microsoft's first foray into console gaming.
Yeah, it was, and I think that's what led Bill Gates into doing gaming. Making consoles.
Absolutely.
Because he's seen a way to port his kind of gaming onto the console and onto the video gamers, and Sega kind of said, well, we got Shenmue 2, ain't been released in America, we'd slip that in there, and Sega helped Xbox grow it a little bit.
Oh, definitely. You also mentioned the Jaguar. Nothing good can be said about that. That was a piece of shit.
that was a promise that was actually a lie before it even got to become a promise.
The world wasn't ready for the whole idea of 64-bit. We were all playing Super NES, we were playing Genesis, we had 16-bit games, and they said we're going to skip past 32-bit to 64-bit. And I think that was the exact moment that people realized that all that bits crap doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, and the polygons and the hexagons into the games didn't really look that good.
And I've heard, and I don't know what you think, and I'm curious to hear your opinion on this, but I've heard that there weren't really any games for the Jaguar that actually used the possibilities of the system because it was so hard to develop for that they had a hard time making games for us. That's why all the games don't look much better than the 16-bit games that we were used to.
Yeah, and a lot of the third-party developers who was getting this new technology seen it that was a waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, at the time it was so easy to develop for Nintendo or Sega, and Atari was making it extremely difficult.
Yeah, well, where Atari got to thinking, well, we could still do this was back in the, like in '77 when they first come out with the 2600.
Yeah.
That was the first home console. That's what kept them going.
Well, it wasn't the first home console,
but it was like the first, big home console. Like
it was the first widely successful one. That much is very true.
It's like the Nintendo of the '70s.
Exactly that. Atari, they made a lot of mistakes there. They pissed off the third-party developers. Then they released an add-on for it. It didn't work for Sega, so I don't know why they thought it would work for them.
The CD add-on for Jaguar?
Yeah, it's like, here's another expensive piece of shit that literally looks like a toilet that you can't use unless you buy their other expensive piece of shit.
Which is more expensive piece of shit.
Yeah, so why release an expensive video game console that requires you to own another one? Doesn't make sense, and people stopped doing that after Sega CD bombed, so I don't know why they thought to repeat Sega's mistake there.
Well, Sega's trying to hold on to the Genesis as long as they can with the CD add-on and the 32X add-on, and then trying to come up.
You know what my problem with that is, Chris? My problem with that is that they should have focused on the games.
Yeah, they should.
Because what a lot of people forget, everybody knows Nintendo won the console war between them and Sega with the Genesis.
Yeah.
And it's easy to see the Genesis as being a failure, but what a lot of people don't realize is that it was neck and neck. And there were a lot of times where Sega was outselling Super NES. Like when Mortal Kombat came out, they had the version that had blood, they had the version that played a little bit more like the arcade one.
And they had the
version. The graphics were terrible, it played better, and it had what people wanted, so that was a huge boost for them.
But the Super NES made the gameplay more smoother.
Well, yeah, it was certainly a better looking version, but if you played the arcade one and you were used to the combos that worked in the arcade game, and then you play the Super NES one and they don't work, it was kind of unusual. But what I thought was weird was they were doing well with the Genesis. They were doing really well, and then instead of focusing on the games, they started saying, well, let's put CD technology, let's put a 32-bit mushroom-looking add-on thing, and that's what killed them.
Yeah, the only thing that was good about the 32X was Knuckles Chaotix, which was rumored to be Sonic 4, which didn't come out till last year.
It's still not even complete, because that was just like Sonic 4 Episode 1 or something.
Yeah, it's Episode 1. Sooner or later, they're gonna have episode.
You know what? I gotta be honest with you. Knuckles Chaotix isn't even that good. I think it's. I mean, I've played the demo version of it on the Genesis, the one that's called Sonic Crackers.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, this is the early alpha version. Maybe Knuckles Chaotix is better. And I played that, and it's like the same thing, really.
Yeah. Well, what kept Nintendo floating over top of Sega was you got the Sega Game Gear. That was pretty much worthless with the batteries.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
You got Game Boy, yet the Game Boy was putting their own kind of characters into their own kind of game.
Yeah.
And then throwing it out on the Super Nintendo. And Super Mario World left open Yoshi, and that had to have his own spawn of games. And you you got Wario, who had his own spawns of games, and the only one that didn't have a good respawn gaming was Luigi.
Well,
and Peach.
Yeah, the Mario was missing. That was bad.
Yeah, it wasn't until Luigi Mansion.
And a lot of people like to rag on Luigi's Mansion, but it was a good game.
Yeah, but you gotta look. Mario Missing was more of an entertainment game than it was, more of a learning experience than it was.
Edutainment software.
Yeah, like Mario's Fun with letters and numbers.
Who wants to play that, really? I mean, you're probably a kid. You just got home from school. You don't want to learn more.
No. That's the worst thing they could ever do.
And especially, like, your mom goes out, or your grandmother or whatever, like, oh, he likes Mario, I'll get him this game. And
you're
you
like,
don't know any better, and then you're stuck with it.
You're like, I don't want school at home, I want school at school.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even want school at school. I always hated school.
But then Capcom helped us out with the Mega Man series, and Street Fighter 2 just become the big thing.
Capcom's my favorite game developer, and you just mentioned Mega Man, Street Fighter, there's Resident Evil, there's just so many different series, and Breath of Fire. I mean, they're big in my world.
Yeah, and there's a lot of arcade games that didn't get ported a lot from Capcom, but you had the Kings of Dragons and Arthur of the Round Table and something like that.
Yeah, that was a good one. I wish there would have been a home version of that.
Yeah, and Alien vs. Predator.
I think Alien vs. Predator did get a home version, but it was
canceled. It was going to be...
Oh, it got canceled? Okay.
It was going to be for the 32X, and... Yeah, like how the Punisher was for the Genesis.
You know that Konami was actually working on a Castlevania game for the 32X.
Yeah, that was called Bloodlettering.
Bloodletting, yeah.
Yeah, and what didn't go... what they canceled from there, they just picked up and said, you know what? We're just going to make this awesome PlayStation game that we call Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
And that was a big thing on the PlayStation, because that was the game that made me say, alright, I got to get a PlayStation.
Yeah, that was the game that kind of... What people didn't understand, it was like a sequel from Rondo of Blood, which we didn't get over here.
Yeah, well, we got the watered down version on Super NES, which was good, but it wasn't as good.
It was a traditional Castlevania thing, but we was wanting Rondo of Blood after seeing Symphony of the Night.
Well, we can have Rondo of Blood now. It's on the Wii, it's on the PSP, so at least now people can play it.
I got the Wii version, which is the original.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got Mega Man 9 and 10, which is on the Wii too, which that was pretty cool. Those two games were pretty, fantastic going back in the past.
I played Mega Man 9. I obviously played 10 a little bit because I did the video on it, but I haven't, played through it yet.
Yeah, they added a lot of new stuff. Not a lot of new stuff, but they brought back some things from Mega Man 2.
One thing that I didn't like was that he can't slide. What? I don't know why they decided to take that out. Ever since Mega Man 3, he was able to slide.
He was able to slide. Now they're saying he can't slide no more.
And he can't charge his shots either.
No, but they gave it to Proto Man.
Which is, I don't know. Who wants to play as Proto Man?
Then they added Bass, the 8-bit rendition of Bass, which made it even more wilder.
It's not Bass, it's Bass.
Yeah, Bass.
A lot of people do that, because in the cartoon they said Bass. Why are they saying Bass? It's Bass.
And if you look at the Bass, like a bass fish, and spelled B-A-S-S.
Yeah, but it was supposed to be bass, like the instrument.
Yeah, a lot of Mega Man stuff is based around music, and a lot of the Robot Masters was based around construction. And
yeah, I mean you got rock and roll. You got Proto Man is called Blues. There was
Dr. Light.
There was Rush. It was named after a band. There was Tango. There was treble, bass.
It wasn't
a lot of musical names in there.
Yeah, it wasn't until Mega Man X when they stopped doing the musical thing, which Rockman X and...
Well, they were doing a different kind of theme with that, because they were doing, animals a lot, and symbols like X and 0 and Sigma.
Yeah,
so they still had a theme, it just wasn't a musical theme anymore. Well, they did have, if you notice, Mega Man X5, they were all named after people from Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, Axl and...
Duff McWhalen and...
Yeah, and Slash.
We're all Guns N' Roses guys.
Yeah, and Slash Grizzly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are alright games, you know. I've played up to the X6 on them.
I also enjoyed X6, and I have X7 and X8, and I tried to play X7, but it is just so terrible.
3D's not working for it.
Well, it didn't work for it at all. And everybody said, well, X8 is better, but it was very awkward, very hard to control, and I'm not one to say that all new games suck or nothing. As a matter of fact, I was just recording the Hey Assholes, and I was talking about people who claim that only old games are good and that 3D sucks and everything, but it didn't work.
They're not all that bad. It's just I wish when Halo comes out, people don't run up and go, "Oh, Halo's the greatest thing I ever played in the whole wide world." And there's more games out there that surpasses Halo.
I played Halo. I played Halo 2, and I got bored with it. I was like, why am I playing this?
I've played Halo 1, 2, and 3 and got bored on 3.
But yeah, it's true. There's a lot of people who think that new games, it only means Halo, Call of Duty,
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect's a really good one, though. But
BioShock's a really good one. If you like
I'm a big fan of BioShock.
Yeah, it's a really good game. If you like the first-person underwater theme, which the third one now is going to go into the sky.
Very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, and Zelda. They're bringing back up Zelda. And I mentioned, or not, I didn't mention, I was reading on your comments. I seen where a guy was talking about the 25th anniversary of Zelda.
Yep.
Why don't they just take Zelda 1, 2, and Link to the Past and kind of make them a 3D render?
Probably because I don't think it would work too well.
Well, probably not with the first two games, but
what I would like to see is to release those games, not change the gameplay, but make them HD.
Yeah, make their graphics a little bit more.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. And maybe they could release a timeline, which they denied. And
there's no timeline. They're making it up as they go along.
I know. It's like this takes place after the third game. This goes ahead of the fourth game. This comes back to Twilight Princess.
They said that Ocarina of Time was the beginning, and now they say that Skyward Sword takes place before that. And they said they claim that there's this secret hidden document in a vault somewhere in Nintendo's headquarters that only Shigeru Miyamoto and a few other people are allowed to see, and it's the secret timeline. It's like it's an urban legend, and it's kind of, I might actually do a urban legends of video gaming about that.
That's a good urban legend.
Yeah, because it's kind of like the thing with Dragon Quest, where people think that there's a law in Japan that you can't sell them on any day but Sunday.
Yeah, where it's a work day.
Yeah, and it's not true, but they encourage it because it makes it seem like really cool and everything.
Well, it's kind of a funny thing, people like to believe in stuff like that.
Exactly, and it makes it kind of fun, I guess. But there's no way that there's a secret document or whatever. They're making it up as they go along.
Yeah, well, if you notice something, in the Super Nintendo age, a lot of RPGs started to get more and more Final Fantasy Chrono Trigger-like type. They began to catch on a little bit more quicker than they did back in the NES days.
Yeah, it was starting to happen, probably because they were being marketed more, and they were a little bit more accessible, and video gaming as a hobby was more popular here. I don't think RPGs really took off until PlayStation. Here in America, the Final Fantasy VII was like a huge blockbuster, and that got people into RPGs.
But they took off a lot in Japan, where the Super Nintendo got flooded with RPGs.
But they weren't as popular as people want to believe. Like, I remember when Chrono Trigger came out, the only reason that I knew about it and that I got it was because somebody, told me about it. And nobody that I knew had ever heard of the game.
I've never heard of the game, and I got it for free from Walmart.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I got it from, I went in to buy Ninja Gaiden Trilogy at the time.
Oh, boy. And,
yeah, bad controls.
Yeah, they I don't know why they did that. They screwed it over there.
And Super Street Fighter 2, which I never had the first two Street Fighters at the time.
Yeah.
And the guy told me they didn't have neither one of them, so I ended up buying Donkey Kong. And then he said, well, just to make it, since you come here for 2 games, we'll let you get one for free. And I ended up picking Chrono Trigger, because I didn't feel like...
Wait a minute. Walmart gave you a game for free?
Yeah, Walmart.
That's crazy.
I
bet I know why they did that.
Why?
They weren't selling it.
They weren't selling
because nobody knew what Chrono Trigger was. Nobody ever heard of it.
It wasn't until after...
They probably had a bunch of copies that they couldn't get rid of.
Well, it wasn't until after Inuyasha, the Curse of the Sacred Mask, which, if you want to, you can avoid this one, because a lot of voice acting kind of makes the game sound like it's stupid than a, retarded person, not to sound offensive to those people.
Okay, no, I get you.
But after I beat that, I'm like, man, I want something more challenging than that. Then I ended up playing Chrono Trigger, and it actually, I got past the 600 AD, or was it AD, or...
No, you're right.
Yeah, after I got past all that, and I went to Robo's World, I kind of see, like, man, there's a lot to this game than what I thought it was. Maybe I can go back through it.
Yeah, I like games where at first it seems like very small, and then it kind of opens up like that.
Yeah.
There's way more to it. Have you been watching the Lufia playthrough?
I've been watching some of it.
So you're not up to date yet.
Well, I'm watching so much of it that I'm interested in. Maybe I should download this game and try it out.
You totally should. I'm at the part right now where most people, if they were playing the game for the first time, they would think it's the end.
Yeah, like how Chrono Trigger, when I first played it, where I first fought Lavos, I thought that was the end until your playthrough showed me that you have to die first before you can advance.
Yeah. You can actually beat it there, but that's not easy.
No, and it don't show you the true ending or anything.
Yeah, it only shows you like a secret hidden ending.
Yeah, of the creator is supposed to be the character that's in the End of Time outfit.
Yep.
That was one weird ending.
Well, it wasn't translated too well, so that had a lot to do with why it didn't make a lot of sense.
And why people...
If you play the DS version, it actually is translated a lot better.
Which is actually, the DS version is kind of like a PlayStation version put over.
Yeah, but they changed the dialogue, though. The PlayStation one had the same dialogue.
Yeah.
And there's also some added areas in the DS version, and there's like a whole other quest you could do.
Yeah, but what I like about the PlayStation version is, even though it's titled Final Fantasy Chronicles, which it don't have nothing to do with Final Fantasy, is when Luca, at the end of it, she discovers the baby, which sets the thing up for Chrono Cross.
Yes.
Which is Radical Dreams onto PlayStation.
Yep, that's true. Well, Radical Dreams was on Super Famicom.
Yeah, through the broadcasting satellite outfit.
Yep. Yeah, that's I like the PlayStation version. It did have some problems with loading times, but that's why the DS one's there. Yeah,
and the DS added more into, as in there's like a time lavos, and...
I think a lot of people are surprised to see how much was added to the Chrono Trigger on the DS.
I think it pushed the DS hardware.
Well, no, it didn't push the DS hard. The DS is capable of, so much that people don't even realize it. Those little game cards, you can put 40 DS games on those cards.
Yeah, but when I first got the DS, the first game I was wanting to play was Castlevania Dawn of Sorrows.
That's a good one, yeah.
And then I seen Portrait of Ruins come out. And I was like, that's a good game. They're all around the Symphony of the Night gameplay style.
Did you play the third one, Order of Ecclesia?
Yeah, I ended up loaning my cousin my DS, and she ain't brought it back, so I had to download a DS emulator and play it that way.
That's a pain.
Yeah.
They're not really emulated that well.
No, and if you notice, you know about the Homebrew channel, don't you, on the Wii?
Yeah, I don't have it myself, but yeah, I am familiar with the whole concept of it.
Yeah, they got a DS emulator for it, which don't do really good either.
Well, I don't know how that would even work. You don't have a touchscreen on the Wii. I mean,
And
what are you going to do? Punch your television? I mean,
you use your Wiimote as a stylus.
oh, I guess that could work, but that doesn't sound like it would work too well.
No, and they ain't got a really good N64 emulator either.
Which is weird because the N64 games are emulated perfectly on the Virtual Console.
And they emulate perfectly on, on a emulator on your computer. Some of them do.
Yeah, so it depends on the game. I've had issues.
Like Super Mario.
Well, Dr. Mario 64 will not work in any emulator. That's one example.
War Gods.
Well, War Gods actually worked. It kept popping up with error message, but it did play.
Yeah, you said that was a shitty game.
It was a piece of shit. It was like a Mortal Kombat without all the fun.
That was actually Midway's way of testing Mortal Kombat.
Well, Mortal Kombat was around before War Gods.
War Gods come out before Mortal Kombat 4.
Oh, well, yeah, before Mortal Kombat 4. So
yeah,
and it was their way of testing a 3D Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, they was trying to find what system to use better to do a 3D Mortal Kombat.
I can see. Yeah, I could see that. That makes sense to me. I've never heard that, but I fully believe you.
Yeah, they just added in Mortal Kombat 3 sound effects and stuff, which made it into Mortal Kombat 4 in gold for the Dreamcast.
4 was actually pretty good. I don't know why a lot of people bitch about it.
It was decently good. I mean, from a lot of fans that was used to the 2D fighting, goes into this Tekken-like style fighting.
You know what it is, though? I didn't like Mortal Kombat 3 that much, so I thought 4 was an improvement.
I thought Mortal Kombat 2 was where it really actually got its start.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, with Mortal Kombat 2, if you go back today and you play it, you realize that all the characters play exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly the same as into Mortal Kombat Trilogy, where Brock will still have all of his same moveset.
Yeah, I thought that the best one so far in the whole series was actually Deception.
Yeah, where they actually decided to add in a suicide kind of fatality.
Harakiri, yeah.
Yeah, and then they added the 2 fatalities, and then they brought a lot of old characters into the 3D render.
I thought the Harakiris are funny, because, you think you're going to do a fatality? Yeah, well, fuck you.
Yeah, and then he ends up killing himself, and you're like, what's up with that?
I thought that yeah, that's funny. I enjoy those.
You gotta look, though, Baraka, in his Deception costume, his first one, before you unlock his Mortal Kombat 2 styling one, kind of pits back into gold when he first started when he come into gold.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Gold didn't look that good, but
gold was just like an adding of from 4.
Yeah.
But see, Katana was supposed to have been in 4, but due to the lack of new characters, they took her out and added in Tanya. Yeah.
And there's a rumor that Tanya will show up in the new Mortal Kombat as a DLC character.
Well, I've been checking up on it, and I know Quan Chi's going to be in it.
Really? That's confirmed?
Well, it's confirmed, but they ain't announced it yet.
Oh, okay.
Kintaro's supposed to be in it, Smoke, and there's supposed to be a Cyber Sub-Zero.
Ooh, okay, that'll be cool.
Which Ed Boon himself stated that the storyline could change within...
Yeah, because he said things will go differently this time around, because it's time travel.
Yeah, where Smoke and 2 more Lin Kuei assassins got captured to turn into the cyber robots, and Sub-Zero escaped.
I'm looking forward to the new Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. I'm looking for the new Mortal Kombat the same way I was with Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, and Street Fighter 4 turned out to be really good.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, man, there ain't no point in making a Super Street Fighter 4 because they're just going to add in more characters and all that. But then again, I got to play it, I'm like, this might be a really good game, after all.
And they were smart about Super Street Fighter 4 because they released it at a low price.
Yeah.
And they had bonuses for people who had Street Fighter 4 saves on their consoles.
Yeah, you could automatically unlock all the hidden characters from Street Fighter 4.
No, actually, it did, all the characters in Super Street Fighter 4 were already unlocked, no matter what. It was that you would get a bunch of extra costumes and colors and shit.
Oh, you get like the colors like you got from the first game.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it would unlock like extra colors for each character. Because I remember when I put it in the Xbox, it said detecting, Street Fighter 4 save, and it would be like colors 11 and 12 unlocked. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what it did to mine. See, I got the Xbox, Wii, and PlayStation 3.
Oh, look at you. Yeah, I don't have
Yep.
PS3.
I was the kid, like, if I get a Sega, I need a Super Nintendo in case Nintendo releases a good game for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
So you have plenty of money then, huh?
no, I don't have plenty of money. I just work and save up some and
Yeah, there you go.
get it. I
I was trying to figure out if you were one of those kids that had the Neo Geo.
I wish I could get the Neo Geo, but for $600, no way.
Nah, $200 for the games.
Yeah.
Forget that.
Yeah, that's like a miniature arcade game. You're like,
Well, that's
200.
exactly what it was. That's why it was so expensive.
yeah, but you can look at it though. Why $200?
You know what it is? You know why they were so? Because they never wanted to do a home console.
Yeah,
And they were like, okay, if there's certain hobbyists that really want it, we'll put it out there, but it's not going to be cheap.
and SNK ended up making a lot of their games exclusive, which was one of my favorite SNK series is the Samurai Showdown series.
I'm a big fan of Samurai Showdown myself.
It went exclusive after the Neo Geo come out. After the first game was ported to the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, we never got the second, third, fourth ports until the PlayStation for third and fourth.
Yeah. Well, now you can get them all on the Wii, actually. There's a collection.
Of Neo Geo games, yeah.
Well, of Samurai Showdown. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on it.
Yeah, where 6 wasn't actually supposed to be a port release, but it was like a...
Well, 6 was the only one that wasn't on Neo Geo. It was on the PS2.
Yeah, and it was also on the in the arcades thanks to the Sega Sammy software.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that Sammy actually owns Sega now.
Yeah, I was at Walmart just like last month with my friends.
Getting more free games?
No. They don't do that no more.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
We was playing Fast and Furious motorcycle game from Namco.
Yeah.
Which kind of reminded me how the not Sega Genesis, but Sega used to do the same thing with Super Hang-On and Hang-On.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same basic kind of game.
Yeah, I'm looking for Sega to release more of their games in a 3D more seeing, like, when you go get the new, if Sega ever thinks of it, if you go out and you're looking around and they accidentally release Hang-On, you get it, you bring it back and you play it, and it's actually a 3D more bike racing than it was on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to have to be it. It's good having you on.
It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, we'll have to have you on again sometime, in the next season or something.
Okay.
Okay, anything you want to say before we go back to the show?
The VMX show's the best show to watch on YouTube.
Okay, if you say so.
All right.
You said it, not me. All right, thanks.
All right, bye.
Okay, and that's pretty much going to be the show. At this point, I've all but given up on getting it to be around an hour. It's a longer show this week, but like I said, it was a busy news week. I had a lot of comments, and I had a longer interview. So I'm just going to get straight through the sales figures, and then we're going to call it a day and a week. So let's take a look at the top 10 best-selling games for the week ending in March 12th in America. At number 1, the big seller Pokemon Black and White versions for the DS sold 1,926,738 copies. Number 2, Dragon Age 2 for Xbox 360 sold 292,492 copies. At number 3, Dragon Age 2 for PlayStation 3 sold 110,539 copies. At number 4, Wii Sports for the Wii sold 99,079 copies. At number 5, MLB 11 The Show for PlayStation 3 sold 93,954 copies. At number 6, Dragon Age 2 for PC sold 89,198 copies. At number 7, Just Dance 2 for the Wii sold 85,124 copies. At number 8, Kinect Adventures for Xbox 360 sold 80,669 copies. At number 9, Killzone 3 for PlayStation 3 sold 75,054 copies. And at number 10, Wii Sports Resort for the Wii sold 71,628 copies. In Japan, the number 1 game was Shin Sangoku Musou 6. We'd know that as Dinosaur Warriors 7. I know it's weird, but that's the way it is. For PlayStation 3, that sold 262,324 copies. And number 2, Dissidia Duodecim Final Fantasy sold for PlayStation Portable sold 65,829 copies. And number 3, Professor Layton and the Mask of Miracle, or Layton Kyojun to Kiseki no Kamen for the 3DS sold 29,499 copies. And number 4, Nintendogs Plus Cats for the 3DS sold 23,561 copies. By the way, obviously these sales are lower than usual because of the problems that Japan is having right now, so don't think it's an industry trouble, it's a Japan trouble. At number 5, Rurouni Kenshin Meri Kikaku Romanten Saisen for the PlayStation Portable sold 22,783 copies. At number 6, Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinity for PSP sold 21,862 copies. At number 7, SD Gundam G Generation World for PSP sold 20,437 copies. At number 8, Monster Hunter Portable 3rd for PSP sold 20,427 copies. At number 9, Samurai Do 4, or Way of the Samurai 4, for PS3 sold 18,508 copies. And at number 10, Fairy Tail Portable Guild 2 for PSP sold 17,531 copies. Interesting to note, only 2 of the things on the list, Shin Sangoku Musou 6 and Samurai Do 4, are the only 2 games on that list that are not handheld titles. Very interesting. In Europe, the number 1 seller was Pokemon Black and White for DS, sold 408,278 copies. Number 2, Dragon Age 2 for Xbox 360 sold 100,016 copies. And number 3, Dragon Age 2 for PC sold 54,632 copies. And number 4, Killzone 3 for the PlayStation 3 sold 54,094 copies. At number 5, Dragon Age 2 for PlayStation 3 sold 52,871 copies. At number 6, Wii Sports for the Wii sold 51,834 copies. At number 7, Wii Sports Resort for the Wii sold 45,098 copies. At number 8, Just Dance 2 for the Wii sold 41,269 copies. At number 9, Fight Night Champion for PS3 sold 34,623 copies. And at number 10, Fight Night Champion for Xbox 360 sold 32,049 copies. For hardware sales in in America, we'll start with the number 1 best-selling console was the DS with 153,400 units sold, followed by the Xbox 360, 112,508 units sold. The Wii sold 99,079 units, not copies. The PS3 sold 89,529 units, and the PSP sold 42,806 copies. Units. I keep doing that. In Japan, the big seller was the 3DS with 95,517 units sold. The PSP sold 43,174. The PS3 sold 30,505 units. The DS, 13,737 units. The Wii, 9,538 units. And the Xbox 360, 1,765 units. In Europe, the big seller was the DS, 79,627 units, the PS3 at 76,224 units, the Wii at 59,687 units, the Xbox 360 at 51,141 units, and the PSP at 31,747 units. Worldwide, the big winner was the DS, with nearly 250,000 units sold. Well, that'll be the show. Leave me your comments. Let me know what you think. We'll see you next week. VMX out.